All right. The King of Wands is the overall. Now, this could definitely be about you here, right? I love the lion with the grin on his face. Now, usually I see the King of Wands as Sagittarius. But this being the overall, we're talking about somebody who is feeling really good. They may be really attractive to you, them. I mean, you already are showing the Queen of Wands here, but like I said, male, female, it doesn't matter. To me, I look at kings as what we're projecting out. The queens are more about what we are internalizing. The Queen of Wands, though, is a little bit of an exception to that because, what she projects out is, being attractive, getting attention. She has her life together. But it's because of that may be a little bit disappointing to the other person. And I wonder if for some of you, you're not dealing with somebody who's having ego issues, which can be the case here. But then ultimately, I feel a little bit iffy with him being the overall energy here. Now, it could very simply be the person that you're focused on, right? Somebody who is full of passion, isn't really known to commit, which I find interesting with the Hierophant coming out. But, again, wisdom as far as where passion is leading you or leading them. Now, the Queen of Wands is you coming through. You may be doing really good, like really good. I think that some of you may be attracting a lot more attention than what another person wants to see. And that may be why we're looking at the Five of Cups. Now, the other person here may be a little bit focused on, what they've lost in terms of you, but you're okay. Like, you're fine. But, I also question if you're still focused on this person, is that what you're wanting them to see? Now, moving out of that in terms of where you meet, there may be a lot of hurt emotions or disappointment or a lot of, looking at what's been lost here on the other person's part. Now, with the Two of Pentacles, they may be trying to figure out a way to kind of keep this going. You, though, are showing death. But the thing is have you actually let it go? Because with the Queen and the King showing up and then looking at the Two of Cups on your side coming out, I feel like there's still very much a want to have a connection with this person. But the problem may have been that they weren't really ready to commit, or they weren't committing because there's like a feeling of kind of like wanting to keep options open for them, which is possible. And I don't think that that's you. I think that you were forced into this place of the Queen of Wands. They may not like it, but that's too bad. I feel like they're the ones that kind of pushed you to this place. Now, back to death. You showing death, this situation has definitely changed you, or things definitely need to change within the relationship. They may be trying to keep things going the way they were, but that's no good for you anymore. Now, it could be here that, all of those things that didn't work before are definitely coming to an end and things are changing. Because you move into the Nine of Cups, they are showing the Ten of Pentacles. So it makes me wonder here if you aren't really done with this yet. But maybe there needs to be a look at what things need to be done and over with before the relationship can move forward, especially if you're dealing with somebody who's tried to keep their options open, right? Now, with the Nine of Cups, in terms of what you're wanting involving this person, it's definitely changed. With death, coming before this. Them showing the Ten of Pentacles is almost like they want some level of security from you, but they're also showing that they're looking at the long term this time. And that may be exactly what you wanted in the first place. But I look at the Ten of Pentacles as a good thing. This is long lasting. This is, we're going to grow old together. And for you, you may be looking at that like, God damn it, that's exactly what I wanted. It's about damn time. Now, you are showing the Two of Cups after this, which means that, You may be feeling like you're getting to a place of understanding with this person, getting back to, that connection, that emotional connection and understanding. And with the Hierophant on their side, that's great, right? Like that's what you want, the traditional relationship, a level of commitment. But with the Knight of Cups, what I worry about because of the King of Wands being the overall on this is, are they doing this because they're feeling it in the moment? And is it because they don't like the fact that you're getting, all of this attention and you look really good without them? Because that's what that looks like to me coming into this. Now, I like the Knight of Cups, I do. But again, it's only what am I feeling in the moment? So it makes me wonder here what is happening with the Hierophant. Now, definitely we could flip the script on this. And we could be talking about you wanting to keep your options open and somebody being like, oh, but I want you, right? Which is possible here. So, the Five of Wands and Justice. If we're talking about having a connection and an understanding here with the Two of Cups, with the Five of Wands, there is some misunderstanding and disagreement when it comes to how to best correct this situation, with Justice being here and the Hierophant. Now, for some of you, this may not be what you want, right? They may feel like this is the fair and balanced thing to do, is to get committed, and this may be a major commitment here. But for you, it's like if they come and they propose to you, which may be the case for some of you, it's like, right? Like, no. Because there are still some issues that need to be taken care of, I feel like here. Now, with Justice, it could be that they're trying to correct the situation by giving you a commitment that you want, but maybe you realize that they're just doing this based on what they feel in the moment. Now, and I say that because of the Knight of Wands and then the King of Swords. This, to me, looks like they're trying to communicate in a way that you understand. Now, like I said, we can flip the script on this. Leo may be the one that wants to keep their options open. They're just, focused on in the moment, not really about the long term, where the other person may be. Now, for some of you, you may be seeing them for what they are, though, because of the Sun. So with the King of Swords, this to me is like somebody who is communicating in a way where they're trying to justify why things went the way they did, because I do feel like there is some responsibility on their part for you, needing to kind of go into this place of the Queen of Wands, right? Where you're projecting something on the outside and not letting the hurt emotion show, where, they're really upset and disappointed the fact that, you're okay without them. That's the big thing that I get from that. So, I feel like they're trying to justify why they're coming in as the Knight of Cups, but you may be seeing it this way, or like I said, you may be the one that's wanting to try to keep your options open. With the Sun, right, and the Sun in Leo, for a lot of you, it's about, wanting to feel good. I mean, you kick it off this way with the Queen of Wands, wanting to feel good, wanting to feel rejuvenated, but absolutely, it's about seeing things for what they are. Everything is brought out into the light of day. You have nothing to hide. You've never had anything to hide, which makes me feel like there is some responsibility on their part with Justice showing up. Now, I don't feel like this is a divorce situation. I don't think that that's it, because I'm looking at clarifiers here, not main energy that would suggest this. For some of you, yeah, I mean, that can be the case. But, if you're going through that, you would have already shown that in the past. That's my thing, because I'm looking at future conditions here. Now, with the Nine of Swords, if they're trying to communicate to you in a way where they're trying to justify their actions, they're not doing it in the right way, because they're left in this place of, feeling regret. Right? Because the Nine of Swords is about, the thoughts that, torture you. It's about fear. It's about regret. It's about worry. What is going to happen next? Fears and anxieties. But you're okay, though. And that's the kicker here. Like, I feel like even if you are the person that's, like, not really wanting to be involved here, you're okay. The sun is shining on you. But I also feel like I said, I think for some of you, you're seeing this person for what they are, and there may be a lot of regret on their part based on what they're trying to communicate to you, because I don't feel like it's working, you know. But I do think that there is potential here for you to get to a place of a better connection and a better commitment. But like I said, it's going to be about whether or not somebody really wants to commit. You know, they may be showing this, but, you know, that may not be what they're willing to give. You know, it's almost like trying to justify wanting to have an untraditional relationship, especially if they're committed somewhere else, which could be possible. Because you're being asked to give your relationship a chance, I think that some of you may actually be looking at yourself as single. And that may be because things have gotten to a place where they're getting a little bit boring for you. Okay. Now, for those of you who are completely single, you know, it may be that you need to give a relationship a shot here, especially if you have somebody who is trying to offer you something. With the Knight of Pentacles, this is like, oh yeah, that's great, but I just want to be your friend. You know, some of you just may not be interested at all. But like I said, for those of you who are looking at yourselves as single, the Four of Cups would suggest that the relationship has fell into a routine. My God, if I could talk right. You know, but I look at this for some of you as somebody who is making an offer, but there is not a whole lot of interest in that offer. The King of Wands with the Three of Swords. The reason why there may not be a lot of interest is because you may be dealing with somebody who is involved somewhere else, and they may be cheating on a partner. Or we can flip the script and say the same thing about you, but we will clarify this. But this looks like, you know, with the King of Wands, again, with this showing up, right? Like, I like the King of Wands in this deck, though. Because there is, you know, this feeling of comfort and romance and connection and passion. But it's not in the right way, looking at the Three of Swords. Now, coming out of this with the Lovers, you know, this is definitely, like I said, for those of you who are in a relationship here, you may be looking at this person now going, you know what, this is just a temptation. I need to fix things within my own relationship. Because the Lovers with this one this is your best option. This is what's going to carry you through the long term. This is what's better for you, but you may not be seeing that because, you know, things are kind of blah. And this is the temptation. That's only what you're feeling right now. Right? And that may be the case for some of you. You may be feeling something, but I don't know that you actually get involved. The Three of Swords can suggest that you've gotten involved in a cheating scenario. Now, for some of you, it may be that you're looking at it going, no, right? Like, I don't want to because I know this person is involved somewhere else. When you're looking at the Seven of Wands, you're talking about getting over doubt. Getting over the doubts that you may have when it comes to a relationship. Okay. Now, for some of you, you may have more than one option, and one option may not be the best for you, but there may be a lot of passion involving this. But there may be another person involved that just doesn't, you know, do it for you. You know what I mean? But with the Seven of Wands, though, there's this feeling of overcoming something. You know, the Seven of Wands and the Five of Swords in this deck are very similar, but the Five of Swords is about overcoming feelings of inadequacy. This is overcoming, you know, doubts about a relationship, right? So, you know, it could be that you get involved with somebody who's involved somewhere else, them you. And then the Seven of Cups with the Lovers and the Seven of Wands. Wow. All right. The Knight of Wands. You know, this is definitely doing something based on passion, right? It's like a sudden impulse to me looking at this. This is like, I really don't care. I want to go. I want to experience this. Let's do this. Now, I do think that some of you may be lacking that in your life right now. You may be bored with certain people coming through. You know, and you may be looking at a friendship now and going, you know, let's have this experience. You know, it's weird because I kind of get the message here And wow, like, how do I put this? Whoever is involved in a relationship here, right? Whether it's you or this other person, I feel like this is worth giving it a chance. There may be some difficulties involving this, but where you come out at, I feel like you're overcoming doubts, and you may be, living out the fantasy here with the Seven of Cups, or, you may get over some doubts that you may have had about this relationship, but you're not really doing anything and you're fantasizing about it. But I don't think that that's it, because the Three of Cups, okay, so with this deck, the Three of Cups and the Nine of Swords are almost the same thing, but different aspects. It's about getting back together. Okay, the Three of Cups is the best case scenario. The Nine of Swords would be the worst case scenario. Like, maybe we shouldn't. This is, yes, this is the healing of a broken heart. For some of you, you may be dealing with somebody who's getting out of a relationship though too, right? With the Three of Swords being here, you may be the loving and supporting one, full of passion, right? They don't really care about what they're dealing with right now. You may be the one that's helping them to heal some issues, but you may have some doubts on whether or not this is the right thing to do. But like I said, this is overcoming doubts, overcoming, whatever fears and doubts you may have had surrounding this, right? But with the Seven of Cups, like I said, this is fantasizing. I look at the Moon more so as like living out fantasies, where this one's a little bit different, but is this going to live up to the fantasy that you have surrounding this person? I think things look good in the moment, but in the long term, right? Because I don't think that either one of you are thinking about the long term. But then again, like I said, for some of you, you got to give this a shot, and you will know if this is your situation, because it's either going to be you or the other person here who is involved in a relationship. But I do think that for some of you, you're going to be the one who is the friend that there is a passion for, right? You're the one that's supporting them and maybe healing their issues, or it could be vice versa. But I still question the outcome here, because, you're still looking at whether or not this is the right thing to do, but yet you're being asked to give it a chance. And then the Eight of Wands. All right. For those of you who are in a relationship, you need to trust that your partner is looking at the long term. The Ace of Pentacles is about more than sex. It's more than just a physical attraction. This is wanting to have a relationship that is going to go the long haul. It means more to you and more to them. Okay. But for some reason, you may be dealing with somebody who is acting like the King of Swords. They may be a little bit emotionally detached, or may not be, always available to you. Some of you may actually be questioning on whether or not they're cheating. Right? But you're being asked here to trust, right? Keep faith. Now, the Wheel of Fortune. You move into a place where there is a change in circumstances here. This is definitely a good turn of events in your relationship, right? But it's also about coming to the end of a cycle. But the problem is that for some of you, there isn't a whole lot of clarity on how you feel with the Moon traditionally. Now, on the other hand, like I said, this is living out a fantasy, right? Some of you may be, just fantasizing about your partner and wanting to live out that fantasy, but, are they doing it, right? They may not have in the past, but things may change. Now, coming out of this though, where I talk about not having a whole lot of clarity or understanding in terms of how you feel, the Page of Cups is definitely showing this, because this is needing to communicate to someone how you feel, but not like being able to do it. He's like frustrated, right? Like, God damn it, why can't I just spit it out, right? And God, I know that feeling. With the Eight of Wands, instead of trying so hard, I think that you're just enjoying the moment, right? Because the Eight of Wands is about savoring the moment here. For some of you, you may want to take a relationship to the next level, right? But instead of speeding things up, let's just enjoy what's happening right now. Right? But for some of you, there may be a lot of frustration in, needing to communicate how you feel, or it's them. because I feel like the King of Swords is the person that you're dealing with, which is why you're needing to trust. They may have like a hard time trying to express their feelings to you, and that just may be how they are. And then the Nine of Wands. All right. So, it feels good. It feels like there's definitely a want to kind of fix things. Now, with the Nine of Pentacles, right, normally this is about somebody who wants to keep a relationship on the down low, and that may be the issue for you. They may not want to be out in the open about the relationship. That is what the Nine of Pentacles is about. Somebody who is very attached to another person. In some cases, it can show obsession, but there's not a whole lot of interest in, being like public about a relationship. But somebody is definitely very connected. And that may be where you're needing to trust here, that this person is still very connected to you, even though they may be acting like a dick. Like, I don't know how else to put that with the King of Swords, right? Because I don't like him in that deck. Now, with the Knight of Swords, this one is weird to me. This is about conquering. Feeling like, you have conquered this relationship, or, it's a control. Is somebody else conquering you? But with the Wheel, it's about, things that are changing in a good way in the relationship, but it could just be that you're living out your fantasies with this person and allowing them to have control over you. I mean, that could just be it, right? I mean, come on, look at the deck we're using. Now, for some of you, you may feel like they are, a little bit too in control. And you may want things to change in a better way, right? And you just need to trust that, this is their process in getting there. Because I get the feeling for Leo that, you're wanting something a little bit more. But I don't know that the other person is wanting that. They may look at you as like you're, the conquest, so to speak, right? And they get to live out their fantasies by being involved with you. But, you may be wanting the long term here. But I also feel like they want it too. It's just that they're not showing it. Like, I really feel like they're having a hard time expressing the way that they feel. Now, with the Nine of Wands, this could definitely be them trying to correct that. Especially if you get to a place where you feel like, screw it, I'm just going to enjoy the time that I have. But, voicing that you do want the relationship to be more, if that communication does open up, it may be that they're trying to come in to fix that. I don't think that, you're needing to fix anything. I think that you've allowed them to kind of have control over you. Right? But there's still, a very good relationship here. I don't see this as a bad thing at all. I just think that somebody doesn't know how the hell to communicate their emotions in the right way. And the worry there is that they push it to a point where they actually hurt you. But I don't think that you take it personally, right? But there may not be a whole lot of understanding why they're treating the relationship the way they do. But it looks like they want to fix that before it's too late. Like, there's a feeling of it's almost too late. I need to fix this. So you can get to a place of enjoying the relationship, right? And just have faith in it.